It's So Rare Game Week 36, and I'm here to build my lineups and help you guys pick out the best options. Let's not waste time. Let's jump straight into it. Just before we jump into my lineups, can I please ask that you hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave us a comment down below. As always, if I do finish in Common Champion before Common Champion and everything is changed up on So Rare, make sure that you leave your So Rare handle in the comments down below. If we do win a limited card, I'll be giving it away to one of you guys. Also, podcast number 114 did just drop. We went through all of the All-Star break, the review, the dunk contest, what we think should change, and also just talking about general NBA playoff stuff. So if you're interested in the NBA So Rare side, you're going to want to make sure you check that out. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below, or maybe up here as well. Anyway, enough of that. Let's have a look at my So Rare lineups. The All-Star week that has just gone, we did have we did finish 194th in the rare game. We did pick up a rare tier 4, and we finished 424th in the limited ones. We picked up a limited tier 3 card. We probably could have done even better, but I didn't have time. I didn't want to go out and spend and overpay for a Drew Holiday or Bam Adebayo just for that final slot. And I don't think they particularly scored really well. This was a really good score because we took a gamble with Jaylen Brown. Not many people would have picked Jaylen Brown because he was a dubious doubt if he was going to play or not. And then he ended up putting up 75 points with the battles between him and Jason Tatum. And then on the limited side of things, we had him beating Irving, and that pretty much cleared us. The rest of the guys chipped in with a little bit. So yeah, 2 rewards. They weren't too bad. I'll quickly show you who I got for them. We got a Mo Bamba and a Kendrick Nunn. They're also on, I always post my rewards on my own personal Twitter, not on the Swingman stuff. I'll leave a link to the description down below for my own personal Twitter. It's also, it's not on the, normally I have it on where my face cam is, but it's not there at the moment. There we go. See, there it is. There's my stuff. So you can drop me a follow on there if you're interested in just general chit chat on So Rare NBA and stuff like that. But I'll post my rewards there pretty much every single game week. Now then, I'm sure you're aware there have been some changes to the common mode lineups that are going to be going forth. But for now, we still have the normal run-of-the-mill slate for the common stuff. We'll jump into a bit more what it means about the changes for the common side in a future video. It's not too much of a big deal. The timing of it is interesting in terms of doing it mid-season, but I wouldn't really stress too much about it. For this particular game week, we do have 2 new ones on the limited and rare side. We have a limited underdog and a rare under 23. The limited underdog, I'm never a massive fan of. I like the idea of it, but I don't think it's executed in the best way. But rare under 23 this week was quite interesting to me, in particular for my gallery, because as I've always mentioned before, I look to buy cards that are normally, if I'm going to buy a rare expensive card, I'm going to look for someone that's younger so I get more utility and longevity out of the card as opposed to buying a LeBron James or something like that. That's been my personal sort of target for when I've gone out and bought cards with my own money. But we'll start on the common side like we always do. And like I've mentioned before, on Common Champion, if I do win one of these limited cards of 1,000, I'll be giving it away. So make sure your So Rare handle is in the video, is in the comments down below. So make sure your So Rare handle is in the comments down below, and you've also liked the video and you're subbed to the channel. So for my Common Champion lineup, looking through some of the projections and some of the guys, a lot of teams this week will have 2. I don't actually think there is one team that has 1 game. I think they've all got 2. And then, if not, some have also got 3 games. Nikola Jokic with 3 games is an obvious MVP choice for me this week. There are others like Giannis and Tatum and all of these sort of other main MVP guys. You can normally not go wrong with someone like that. But just for me, with the 56L10, it's as irrelevant on the MVP side. But for 3 games, and the games that he's got, Cleveland, Clippers, and Memphis, I can see Jokic doing really well in all of these. Luka Doncic at 49 right now he is the game breaker in Common Champion. If you don't have a Luka card this week to play in Common Champion, I do feel for you, because I think I'd be amazed if come the end of this game week, the person who wins it, if they wasn't a Luka Doncic in their starting 5. I think he's that crucial this week. The Spurs and the Lakers are the games, but the fact that you can play Luka as a second unit guy in a Common Champion is game breaking for this specific game. So that means that I was left then obviously with my 3 spots left, and going through some of the projections that you saw on So Rare data that I've explained in the past before. I like the look of Tyrese Maxey at 25. There's a lot of guys out for the Warriors still. Andrew Wiggins is out with personal reasons. He's not training. I think Klay Thompson's expected to play back-to-backs now in the run-up to the playoffs to try and ease him in a bit more. But Jonathan Kuminga, I can't see him playing in all 3 of these games, the guys. But Jonathan Kuminga will get extended minutes in one of these games, and I'm hoping it's against the Rockets in this mid-slot of the 3 games. An L10 of 16 is far too low. And I've got a nice percentage boost on my cards now. And then the last one's Jeremy Grant. He's way outperforming his projections at the moment. He's on an L10 of 28. I think he's projecting in the high 30s, especially the game against the Rockets. Anyone that's playing the Rockets, the Spurs, any of these teams right now, they'll be projecting really high. Because, as is always known, this is now the last stint towards the NBA playoffs. These teams need to start putting wins together, and the Blazers is going to be one of these teams. So yeah, this is my common champion lineup. I'll quickly show you my other common ones right now. So common no cap is essentially who's got the best 5 cards in the game. It doesn't really matter about cap space. So Giannis, Embiid, Lillard, Ja Morant, and LeBron James. They'll be my 5 for that. And then never neglect your common contender lineups. They can always win you common cards. Whether or not they're going to be much use in the future is another thing. But for now, this is my common contender lineup. Dylan Brooks is also a shout that you could play in a common champion. He's always, I'm going to bang this Dylan Brooks drum. He's going to have a good week that will massively outperform his L10 at some stage. Right then, limited champion. So Joel Embiid will always be my MVP. Sometimes it can be Ja Morant, but we've also got a Kyrie Irving nowadays that I did pick up for the All-Star weekend. De'Aaron Fox has got 3 games of an L10 of 45. I like the look of the game, especially against the Clippers and the OKC Thunder. The Kings are in a weird spot right now because a lot of teams have bolstered up around them, but I still suspect they'll keep performing in the way that they were. Maybe not at sort of the high level that they were performing before, but De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, and Sabone, I will all expect them to be performing at a very, very consistent rate between now and the playoffs. Matisse Thybulle is an L10 of 15. He's not a game breaker, but I think he is quite essential. He's projecting really, really well for the next 2 games. I think he's in the high 20s. In this new role for the Blazers, I'm not sure they've quite figured out yet who's going to be sort of in this rotation between, you've got Jeremy Grant, you've got Cam Reddish, you've got Matisse Thybulle, you've got Trendon Watford, there's Kevin Knox as well, but they've got really nice wing players and 3-and-D guys that they can play now. Cam Reddish not necessarily a 3-and-D guy, but I think for an L10 of 15, Matisse Thybulle too low, therefore he'll be in my limited champion lineup. The only way this gets jigged about, Franz Wagner at 22 is too low as well. I'd be shocked if he doesn't have a 30 to 40 point Sorare score between a Pistons and a Pacers game for the Magic. But Bradley Beal is the one concern I've got in this lineup currently. I know he's not, I don't think he participated in the shoot around that was on yesterday. So there's a chance he doesn't play. And if that happens, I'll swap out one of the guys that I've got in my contender and jig about between Franz Wagner and Matisse Thybulle more than likely. But as mentioned before, I'm always active on lock on my Twitter, which is just here. You can't really see it from that next one, but it's just there. But you know, feel free to drop me a follow there, and I'll always be active on there if you ever want to ask me questions, or leave them in the comments down below. And then, as we mentioned before, with our limited contender lineups that we've got here, Paul George I can fit in at a 42, but he might go into the champion one depending on what happens with Bradley Beal. And then we've got 4 nice guys that I think are all really low L10s that should outperform them, which is the aim for limited contender, is it not? Bol at 11, he's in an interesting spot. Whenever he's on the court, he looks just ridiculous, but it's just about getting those minutes in Orlando right now for him. He was always out of the rotation, or there were guys above him in Denver. And I'm hoping he's going to break those out and get some proper solidified minutes in Orlando. Cam Reddish, like I've mentioned before, he's moved to the Blazers now. Should see him starting or coming off the bench a lot for a lot of minutes. 16's too low for him. I would expect a mid-20s to 30 Sorare score for him. Dylan Brooks, like I've mentioned in common champion, I think at 19, he's really, really strong. He's going to outperform these 1 week. And Jared Vanderbilt, he's in the starting lineup for the Lakers at the moment. 2 games against the Warriors and the Mavs. I'm expecting these to be high-scoring games. The Lakers need to win, which means LeBron is going to be getting an outrageous usage rate at the moment alongside AD and D'Angelo Russell. I'd expect Vanderbilt to put up some decent defensive numbers in this sort of new role that he's got, and he might chip in with a few shots every now and then, but I'm not expecting big points from him. So Rare Under 23 is a new game mode that has dropped for this week. I think we've had it before. My gallery's never been, maybe when this first came about, my gallery wasn't in the state that I could officially and properly compete in it, so I probably didn't even bother entering it. We've got 739 joined now with a prize pool of 100 rares. Granted, there's 9 hours and 43 minutes left as of recording this. The way in which I see this, I reckon this will probably get to 1,200. Most of those will be throwaway teams, or they'll have 3 or 4 good guys and a throwaway guy in it. So with the Rare Under 23, I had to go out and buy a Wendell Carter Jr. to fill this lineup out. But apart from that, I've got RJ Barrett, Jeremy Sohan, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Anthony Edwards. I'm really confident that this lineup can do well this week. Jeremy Sohan has a questionable tag at the moment, which is the only doubt on the Dallas game. but then he's got 3 or 4 days until the Utah one. I know it's on a road game, but providing he plays, I'm quite confident that this team will do quite well in the rare under 23s. Now, the benefit from rare under 23 is you might see some other cards being taken out to play it, being taken out that would be in limited contender or in limited champion to play them in the rare under 23s, which is what I've done. I've taken out Jaren Jackson Jr. and Anthony Edwards, and arguably RJ Barrett and Jeremy Sohan from being played in the 2 main ones, which is always the benefit of Sorare adding these new competitions, so the cards are spread out, which means that it's more likely and it gives people more of a chance to win in the base core competition. In any case, my rare champion lineup, Jaylen Brown here is inactive. He's not inactive. He's not on the injury reports. He played in the All-Star game. I'll be shocked if he doesn't play for the Celtics. If it's reduced minutes, it's reduced minutes, but I think he'll play with a mask and he'll be fine. But he's inactive, but he should play. I've got Paul George as my MVP. There was scope maybe to go for Mikal Bridges, but I think Paul George has got a higher ceiling than Mikal Bridges. I know he got that outrageous 72, which was 80-something game the other day, but that will be an outlier. That was more of he's just arrived at the team. He wants to show what he's doing. He's the main man in Brooklyn now, Mikal Bridges. But in any case, I'm going to roll with Paul George against the Kings and the Nuggets. Jaylen Brown, like we touched on earlier. Now, Andrew Nembhard is an enabler. I'm not, he's really gone off the boil from when I first picked him up right at the start of the season. He had that really big game against the Warriors as well. I don't think we can even see it. It was that far back. And he reached really high prices. And I never sold him. It wasn't in my prerogative to sell him. I wanted to keep him. I want his rookie card. I think he's a really good two-way player. Well, mainly a defensive guard in this Pacers unit of how they play him anyway. At 16, I'm expecting him to get 16, maybe 20. He doesn't score points. Like he isn't a shooter. He doesn't drive to the basket. He's not that type of player. He'll play as a facilitator and a defensive unit. The gamble for limited champion, for rare champion this week, is I'm playing Aaron Gordon and Andrew Wiggins. They've both got 3 games, and I know what you've probably seen on Underdog already. Andrew Wiggins is out for personal reasons, and Aaron Gordon was ruled out of a rib injury. This rib injury that Aaron Gordon had wasn't expected to keep him out past All-Star break. I think this is primarily going to be, we're just going to hold him back till he's 100% fully healthy. We don't need to rush him, in which case Aaron Gordon might miss the 2 road games for Cleveland and the Grizzlies, but he should make the Clippers game at least. And in any case, the way that my rare champion and rare contender lineups are built, I was quite content with my rare contender lineup. So as such, I'm going to play Aaron Gordon on the premise that I think he's going to play in that 1 game against the Clippers. And I would still rather have 1 game of Aaron Gordon than I would for 3 games of Gary Trent, because it doesn't really move the needle in any case. I can't play Bridges there. I'm 5 short, and so on and so forth. And then here we are for my rare contender lineup. So Kendrick Nunn, who we won on All-Star weekend, he was our reward for that. We're going to play him. He's not got the best cap projections. I think he's in and around the 15 mark. You never know with these 2 games here. If Bradley Beal's out, there's a bit more scope for some usage to be spread around the team. So with an L10 of 15, I'll take the gamble on him on the contender mode. Caleb Martin and Jeremy Grant are projecting really well. There is scope that I could put Jeremy Grant in the red champion, which I might even do. I might swap them depending on the time for Andrew Wiggins, because they have the same L10s. Markelle Fultz, again, I had him in my gallery. He fits this lineup. And then Bol, there was a guy that I bought Bol off last night. Big shout out to you for just getting the deal done quickly so I can get these teams done and make these videos. So thank you very much, mate. But yeah, Bol at 11, I think it's a bit too low for him this week. But the gamble with Bol is that he's always got this low cap, but he doesn't seem to be getting sustainably core minutes on the court, which is the only worry for Bol. So yeah, I mean, that's gonna wrap that up there on my teams. I don't know why it's split them out like this, but it has done it like this. But in any case, if you are liking these videos, can I please ask that you drop us a like button here on this video and drop a subscribe to the channel. It would help me out more than you can imagine. Like I said at the top of the show, we also just dropped our latest podcast number 114, where we broke down everything on All-Star weekend and on the NBA playoffs that are upcoming now. So if you are into your NBA side of things on Sorare and you want to get into the NBA juices a bit more, check the podcast out. It would mean a hell of a lot to us. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.